Join us now for the latest on this government shutdown. Tobin Marcus, Wolfe's research's head of U.S. policy and politics. Good to see you, Tobin. I don't know what forces Democrats to fold on this at this point, but the specter of Rust vote. Just reading a piece on how much zeal he has for trying to shrink the government. Even Lindsey Graham was warning that you should pay attention because he wants to do this. So does that get Democrats to, will another 5 senators decide to go against their leader and vote for this?
Good to be here. So, yeah, Russ vote certainly, I think, is very eager to do what they're talking about in terms of permanent reductions in force rather than temporary furloughs of government workers during the shutdown. But the shutdown's not necessary or sufficient to make that happen. I mean, they've been talking about reductions in force since the spring. They sent out a bunch of big memos in February and March telling agencies to prepare for this. Largely haven't really done it. And I think that kind of shows that, once we got past the peak DOGE period, the members of President Trump's cabinet want to have workers to do the jobs that their agencies have been tasked with doing. So I don't think that threat is terribly credible. I don't think Democrats are viewing that threat as terribly credible. If they do big, permanent layoffs, that's going to be a voluntary choice by them that they could make whether or not there's a shutdown. And so I don't know that Democrats are running that scared of that. But certainly it's always been clear that they're going to structure, who's essential, which funds are delayed and which funds still go out in ways to try and maximize pressure on Democrats. That's a time-honored game that both sides have played. So, I mean, they're certainly trying to pile on the pressure, but I think we're in this for probably another week or two. Yeah,
because he's may not be layoffs, but he can pull funding. He's done it already in some blue states that were, I guess some of the politicians there's some climate stuff, and it totals billions already, so he can do that. So you think it was more of a bluff from Republicans to get Democrats to go along with the CR than whether it's really going to happen? So what do the Democrats have to bluff the GOP to fold?
I mean, we're looking at it like they've done the shutdown. That's the form of leverage that they believe they had. We've never really historically seen shutdowns work for anyone who's making policy demands as part of them. I think the previous shutdown that this looks most like to me is 2013, when you had Republicans try and shut down the government to try and defund Obamacare. That didn't work. And it ended basically when they'd gotten it out of their system. And I think that's probably what we're going to be seeing on the Democratic side also. Leader Schumer is in a relatively vulnerable position. And so I think he's trying to give his party the shutdown that they want. And he's going to be looking to them to figure out when they've had enough. So, maybe we get some kind of agreement to make an agreement to start negotiations around the expiration of these premium subsidies in the Affordable Care Act exchanges. That's, I think, what Democrats are hoping for, not actual policy changes, but an agreement to start talking. But, even if they don't get that, they may just get tired of it at some point. That's historically how these have ended.
So you figure that at some point, does he say, I can't control some of these Democrats that are voting for this, or does he work out a deal and say, I've given my blessing to voting for the continuing resolution? How does it work?
I think it'd be very bad for his standing as leader if he had defections, if he had, sort of 5 more moderates join the folks who've already voted for the continuing resolution.
So he'll have to claim victory. He'll have to get something.
So I think at some point he'll come out and say, we've agreed to move forward based on either an actual agreement to start negotiations or some fig leaf that he'll point to. I mean, he'll claim that he won. Everyone always likes to claim that they got something out of this, whether or not that's really true.
Works with between Republicans and Democrats. It works with China. It works with saving face. It's all about saving face. It's in a bunch of theater and kabuki dances on both sides constantly. That's why I think a lot of people are watching the wild card playoffs or something at this point.